I love God of War. There's a lot of God of War games. It's kind of one of those things where people ask, do you need to play all of the other ones, you know, in order to understand what's going on? And it's like, no. But at the same time, you will know more and understand more about Kratos' character at the point of God of War 4. So let's say you were to play God of War just 1, 2, and 3. You don't even have to play Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus or God of War Ascension. You just play 1, 2, and 3. Totally fine. You can get his character arc all good. And they're fucking great games. They're more like puzzle mash games. They're not as, you're gonna get combos like up to like 100, like triple digit combos in that game, basically.
I am the God of War!
Like, you're fucking up some enemies. There's some difficult parts, but it's not like crazy overall. But it's just like a whole revenge story. It's really fucking good. God of War 3 is literally one of my favorite games of all time.
Zeus! Your son has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus!
Like, I remember when God of War 4 trailer came out, I was like, holy shit, he's here.
She taught you to hunt, yes?
Yes, sir.
Then show me what you know. I am hungry. Feed us.
I knew he'd get over to some other mythology. I knew he'd fucking do it in Northern mythology, and it suited really well. And 2018 is a simple, like God of War 2018 is a simple story that's done very well, extremely well. They have a goal, and the entire game is completing that one goal. They have obstacles in the way, and there's a father-son story, but at the end of the day, it's about completing the goal. They complete the goal. And then in 2, the God of War Ragnarok, Jesus fuck, it is so fucking complicated. Well, yes, because there's like a time loop and there's this, it gets fucking complicated, but it's still really good. You know what I mean? Really good. Ties up a lot of emotional beats and ends. Has a nice, I don't think it's the end, but has like such a good, if you've played all of the games, the end of Ragnarok will be like, wow, like it's a ride. It's a ride. You're like, we're actually here. It's one of those moments where you're like, wow, we're actually here. This fucking game, Jesus Christ, the DLC. This is free DLC. That is insane. I've already been playing for like 7 hours. It's free DLC that you can just keep playing, and it is so like would be like integral. If you were to play God of War Ragnarok, you would have to play Valhalla. This would be like on a list. Like, it would be like the must plays, like God of War 1, 2, 3, 4, Ragnarok, Valhalla. This could be a game on its own. Like, God of War Ascension's only like 5 hours. Like, Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta aren't very long either. They're both PSP games. God of War Ascension and God of War 3 came out in the same year, but one's the end of the saga and one is the most prequel of prequels, so it's like a weird thing. I love God of War, man. It's so good. It's such a great character story for Kratos, man. It's so good, and it doesn't present itself in that way like at all. You're like, wow, this is bloody. I'm ripping people in half. This guy's mad. You know what I mean? And then as you go on, you're like, oh my god, yeah, fuck these gods, fuck them. And I don't know, you join them so hard, and the whole journey was really good. It was really fucking good. I loved it, and I've been nerding out because this DLC has so many callbacks to God of War 2 specifically, God of War 3, and they've talked about God of War 1 as well. Oops, sorry. And they've also shown they've also had a God of War Ascension important item, and you are called, like, people reference you as the Ghost of Sparta for like every game, even in the Greece world, and then in the Norse world that would be like your boogeyman name, he who should not be named. It's like, oh, it's the Ghost of Sparta, like people have heard of you, and that's like what one game is literally all about. The PSP games are pretty good too. They're just short is all. They're not long, but they're still pretty good. Like, they play pretty classically. Taking all the notes. I'm ranting, yes. And if you're like anywhere interested in like Greek mythology, it's not anything like accurate or anything. If you just like Greek mythology, you'll enjoy it because it's all that's like, what is that? Ascension, Chains, Ghost, 1, 2, 3, 6. That's 6 games based in Greek mythology in Greece. You have 2.5 based in Norse, and I don't know if they're gonna do a 3rd game in Norse, because at this point I don't really know what they could do, if I'm being honest. But it would be very interesting. There's a certain character I'd be interested with them taking. It'd be cool to see them go to another mythology and kind of running through that shit. Kratos in the Egypt going through that stuff, as everyone's always wanted that, which I think would be cool, because it's another really popular one, so I think that'd be pretty cool too. The joke is that Kratos is gonna fight Jesus one day and just actually fight like God, like Christian God. And there was a whole storyline, like at one point in development, Kratos was going to be one of the 3 wise men that gives like Jesus his gifts. That was like a real thing that was gonna happen, and they were like, maybe we should change the story. I can't remember who, creator, development, whatever, like which guy who was running it. That was his plan, and they were like, maybe that shouldn't be the plan. That would not make sense on his fucking character at all. But I like the way that they're doing it. Jump into this mythology, and you're kind of figuring out how that happened, but still, well, no, they pretty much do say it in this game. I want to see him. I do want to see him jump to another one, but it does seem more like at home. So I don't know. He's so cool. I love God of War.
I would like to sit here for a while.
Damn. What an image. What an image. Look at that. What a fucking image, man. It's beautiful. Oh my god, it's over. Ah. I really thought we'd be fighting my old self. Oh, he didn't talk or anything. Oh, I wonder. Because it's a different voice actor. The God of War, like the old Kratos, it's a different guy. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. Like, how is that a DLC? A free DLC. This is longer, because it took me a lot, like, the final version of Tier took me a lot of attempts. I put a lot of hours into this. Probably almost 10 hours into the DLC here. That's longer than God of War Ascension. That's longer than God of War Chains of Olympus. It's longer than God of War Ghost of Sparta. Like, that's crazy. Those are 3 mainline games. Ba, ba, ba. Well, God of War Ascension is more online based, but so good. I can't believe this was a free DLC, man. It really was like such a love letter to longtime fans. It referenced every single game in a meaningful way, because it was all about like going back and dealing with his past. He's talked about dealing with his past with like Atreus and stuff and with Mimir, but he really has never dealt with it face to face. That's why I was so sure that he would fight God of War 3 Kratos, but I guess in the end there, when I was like, spoilers for God of War 3, they were kind of reshaping how he should think about this moment, where it was like, you doing this was like a selfless thing that you did to bring hope, our world, for all the other worlds around them. Like, you didn't do this out of hate and out of revenge. This was the turning point, basically, and it just made him like reshape the way he thought about himself. So I guess that actually makes more sense. So like, what would be the point in fighting his old self when the whole point is like he's accepting his old self in his actions, and he's reframing them in a way so he's able to accept them and move on and know that he's not that version of himself anymore, but that version of himself is still within him. Like, what the fuck? How is that a fucking free DLC? That's insane. That's just crazy. What a nice, like, Ragnarok and everything being with like an Ouroboros. What a nice way to finally come full circle in the whole series by just going back to Greece. In like a metaphysical way or whatever, but still the main crutch. And they bring you right back to a mission in God of War 1. They talk about the fucking boat captain. The goddamn boat captain is in God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, and you fuck that guy over so many times for no reason.
I didn't come back for you.
You again?
And it's like a meme, essentially. And then they address it in this game like, yeah, I was just mean to this man for no reason. Like, he wasn't a god, he was just a mortal, and I just killed him over and over and over again for no reason.
It would have cost me nothing to show him mercy. His life was in my hands. To be so casually cruel. This man did nothing to me, and I treated his life as nothing. He was not a god who'd manipulated me nor bound me in service. I cannot behind my thirst for revenge. He was just a man, afraid for his life. Attacked and swallowed by a monster he had no hope of defeating. But the Hydra was just an animal. I showed him what a true monster looked like.
That's why I'm an evil man. And they're like, damn, Kratos, that is kind of fucked. Yeah, and even that final line of like hope, when he talks about hope, that's what Pandora, that's like her final line to Kratos, essentially.
Hope is for the weak, Pandora.
Hope is what makes us strong. It is why we are here. It is what we fight with when all else is lost.
Hope. You know,
Oh my god.
this is lost.
Damn. They're even quoting the other game. Holy fuck. Bringing Helios in there, like what a piece of shit to the very end.
I'm back. What a thrill.
Oh, you piece of shit. But such a good mirror of having Helios and Mimir. Like, I'd never even thought of that, but what is such a good comparison. And, like, adding the roguelike element, depending on, like, the very first item, depending on the first one you picked, it would either be something that was more geared to the spear, geared to the swords, or whatever, blades, or geared to the axe. And then everything after that would complement the first one you got. So you'd be like, all right, this is going to be a spear run, or this is going to be an axe run. And, like, the last one, because I had increased stun damage, the spear already does increase stun damage, so the spear was just broken right from that, and then everything else after that was all for the blades. So my blades and my spear was broken, and then I had 2 really good runic attacks on my axe, so everything was just full circle. I mean, everything was just perfect for the last run. I didn't know I was able to have 3 revive things, which I ended up needing, which I would have lost my shit if I died, because he had no health and I had to use my second or my last one, and never mind. But yeah, like, what a fantastic DLC. So good. Literally one of the best installments of God of War, period. And it's a free DLC. What the fuck? I could not freak out about that enough. So cool. And there's no way it's like over. Something else is gonna happen, especially because the whole point of Kratos doing this was for, like, because he was basically asked to be the God of War again, and this is the whole reason why he's there. He's like, well, I don't know if I can do that, like, if I'll go power hungry, or if I have it in me to be like that, or blah 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 blah. He just thought of it in a more fucked way, because he used to sit on the throne before, and that was why the throne was all symbolic and everything. Because, like, to sit on the throne again, like, does he have the power? And he does. What a fun take on the roguelike genre. Like, it worked out so well with all the abilities and everything. It's a lot at first because you're like, oh, there's so many things, so many upgrades, so many ways to play the game. But after a couple runs, it's very easily, you get through it. It actually is hard. The first couple runs are pretty easy, I won't lie. But then it actually gets hard. It gets difficult. I struggled on the last version of Tyr for a lot. And actually fighting Tyr was so satisfying because fuck, even though it's whatever what happens in God of War Ragnarok, I still wanted to beat Tyr. I wanted to beat the brakes off him. Fuck him. It is one of those, the one thing I will say, it is one of those things where, like, if you're not as familiar with the entire series, this will definitely bring you up to speed with a lot of the stuff that's happened throughout the series in a more of like at the end there, they just showed you a flashback. Like, they're just kind of showing you shit at some times, but a lot of the other times, like, they're telling you things, but a lot of other times it's more of showing. Like, they did a lot of visual storytelling, but there are, like, those times when you beat Tyr where they just go over some major event that happened in whichever game, and that one just happened to be the fucking major event in God of War 3, which I actually had spoiled for me back in the day. I let my buddy borrow the game, and he was telling me about the ending, and I was like, don't tell me, I don't want to know, because I still have to play it. And then he told me, and I was really sad. He also spoiled the ending of Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy for me too, and I was very, very upset with that. But regardless, all fantastic games. It makes you want to go back and replay 3 at least. I think 1 and 2 probably still hold up, but they're much harder to find and actually play. Like, they're not emulated. I don't think I have the remastered version. I don't know where they are. If I could boot up the PS3, maybe I could do that. But yeah, what a phenomenal DLC. Could honestly just be its own installment of God of War. That was fucking phenomenal. So good. Funk! See ya, bitch. 100%!
Noteworthy about this area, brother.
That's how we do it.
The forum of Hercules on
100%.
Mount Olympus.
Yes, it was, baby.
Here I fought and killed my half-brother.
The perfect place to get 100% on God of War Ragnarok.
I'm sure you had plenty more of them to spare.
Yeah, we beat the shit out of him. Damn, it's right there. Valhalla.